always feel so awkward when I start filming again. Okay.
You have reached the voicemail box of I don't wanna be a player. I don't wanna be a player. I'm saying I don't wanna be a player. I just wanna stay down with my nigga and get paper.
Okay, hey guys, welcome back. Or welcome if you haven't been here before. It's been a minute. It's been a minute since we kicked it, you've been caught up. This is kind of gonna be my introduction to booktube. Yeah, I've been watching hella book videos on YouTube and I'm like, OMG, like, I love to read. Why haven't I been doing this? So today what I'm going to be doing, because I haven't seen anybody else do this, and I thought, why not I just combine the two? Talking about a book while I'm doing my makeup, like, period. Today's book is a book I've been wanting to talk about for a really long time. Yes. The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. First of all, I read this book twice. I had to read it a second time because of the way that I want to orchestrate this video. So it was revealed that this book is getting made into a movie. And when I was reading it, I was like, why was that the executive decision when we literally have 7 husbands? Like, so what I decided to do today is what I would do if this movie was a series. Of course, I'm going to be doing a green eyeshadow look because that is Miss Mama's color. Like, that's Queenie. Today we're going to be using the 9B Matte Essentials palette by Morphe. So boom. Series opens with Evelyn Hugo in the press saying that she is auctioning off 12 of her gowns, her dresses, for breast cancer because her daughter died. Sorry, that's not funny, but I didn't mean to end the sentence like that. This is a woman that was a very famous actor between the 50s and the 60s. So you have our other main character, Monique. She's a biracial woman. I believe she's 35. She works at a publishing company. I believe it's pronounced Vivint. Her boss, Frankie, comes to her and is like, we need you to write a piece on this. You know, Evelyn hasn't been in the public eye for a few years now. This would be a great story. Monique's kind of like, why me? And Frankie's kind of like, you know, I kind of said the same thing because I sent some of my top writers to Evelyn's team, and Evelyn sent an email saying, we only want Monique Grant or we're out. Frankie is like, I didn't even really want you to be working on this piece, but you are our only hope to get this piece out at our company, so you have to go. Monique is at Evelyn Hugo's house. Again, big, famous, one of the most famous Oscar-winning actresses. She's at her house and she's like, okay, like, let's talk about these dresses. Evelyn's like, it's not really that much story there. Like, I'm just giving away 12 dresses. What I want you to do is write my life story. You're gonna be writing a memoir. Monique's like, I don't write books. I never read a biography before. I don't do that. I'm just a journalist. She tells her this story, like, with my first husband, I told him I was 16 when I was really 14. You know, you have to create your story. You have to go and get it. It doesn't matter if you're not prepared. It doesn't matter if you've never done it. You've never written a biography before, but you're going to today. Okay? They get started, and I think the first episode would be amazing just to have an introduction of Evelyn's life. Evelyn is from the ghetto, basically. She's from Hell's Kitchen in New York. Her mother died when she was 11 years old. So she was in a broke apartment with her abusive father. Mind you, like, when I say like they were broke, like they were stealing electricity from the apartment upstairs, like, and they would have to use one singular outlet, so only one worked. If they wanted to use the toaster, they gotta plug it in and take the lights out. They was that kind of broke. Now her dad, again, abusive, and honestly the way that Evelyn explains her dad in this story, it gives, I don't know if I could say this word, but R word, if you catch my drift. It gives that he was gonna touch on her if she didn't leave. She was 13 years old. She was beginning to develop. She had really big boobs at a very young age. Very tall, 5'8", long legs, bronze skin, dark brown hair, gorgeous. And so again, she just wanted to get out of there because she had been with her now abusive father for 2 years now without a mother, and she was just trying to make it out. That's that simply to say. Evelyn tells a story, and this is kind of how we see that Evelyn uses her body or sexual acts to get what she wants. Again, she's 13 years old, going to go to like her little corner store to get some candy, and the 16-year-old boy that's working there forces himself onto her. He does kiss her against her consent, and so instead, because she knew that either way he was gonna get what he wanted, she was like, I could do this for free, or I can bargain for free candy whenever I want. Basically, he would fill up on her boobs and she would get whatever she wanted out the store. That was very early on in her upbringing, her very young teenage years, realizing that she can get whatever she wants out of men if she just uses her body, which is very sad, but it's kind of a reality. Like, I don't know. She's a regular 14-year-old going over to her friend's building. She hears that a man named Ernie, 22 years old, has a lighting gig in Hollywood. So what little Evelyn does, you realize through the book that Evelyn will do anything it takes to get what she wants. Even if it's to play ditzy, if it's to play stupid, she'll do what it takes. So she pretends that she doesn't know where her friend is and knocks on Ernie's door. Again, this is who I was talking about before. He asks her age. He says, like, are you old enough, babe? And she's like, I'm 16, even though she's 14 years old. Again, 22 years old, and he's okay with her being 16. Boom! That's episode 1. That's how I would end that. There's also a story plot line of Monique getting a divorce, but I didn't really include that through my episodes, but I feel like that would be in episode 1 as well. A little background on Monique. Her father also died when she was very young. She's also trying to make it out, and at the event she wants to be an executive writer. Right now she's again just trying to get it how she lives so that she can make it at her company. Her husband at the time wanted to move to San Francisco, but she's like, I'm not down. This is what I believe in for my career, so if you want to go to San Francisco for your career, you got it. And that's why she's having a divorce right now. Monique.
Oh, you ate with Journey. You ate with Journey.
Yes.
Whoa.
Because
I was so mad.
I feel like she would eat. Now, we just put Zendaya in there because she's just biracial token, and I just feel like she could eat anything, but that's not who I actually think.
I didn't think of her.
Journey, I think, is my token Monique. The reason why I put Jasmine, because I was thinking about Scream.
She ate in that
and she ate in that role, and I don't know, I feel like she just has a little yeah.
I'm sold on Journey. Dang, I didn't even think of her.
Zazie Beats.
Okay.
Yeah, this eats. She eats.
When I was listening to the book.
This eats. So I picked Natalie Emmanuel. Okay. Imitation, Game of Thrones. She eats. She's an actress. Laura Harrier. Not gonna lie, don't know much of her work, but she got the look. And then Logan Browning, I'm a fan. Hit the Floor. But I'm leaning on towards Natalie more because I just know her acting wise, and I think she would chew.
Stop. Sorry.
Stay. So we got Isabel Merced. She would chew. You can age her down. Like, we got CGI. Don't need to get, an actual 14-year-old. And she can still be the 20-year-old, early 20s, and still the thing. Ana de Armas, okay? She would chew too. If I'm not mistaken, she is Cuban in real life. I don't want to get that wrong. Don't cancel me. And they both have the same shaped face, but Rita Moreno, she got it. That's all I gotta say.
Okay.
Whoa.
Okay.
So I was watching Barbie.
Okay, Ariana, I see you.
And I was like, okay. I don't know. Sophia, I feel like she's still a little bit too strong in her being Spanish.
Yeah, she really has a thick accent. I don't
She
know
has
if
a
she can
very
do like
thick
an American
accent, but I just was like, there's nobody else who I would imagine like 40s, 50s. Like, I don't know who would play that Evelyn.
I love Ariana. I love Isabella, but I was like, they're in too many things right now, and there's nothing wrong with that. I just wanted to see somebody else, so I chose her. Plus, like with everybody else, like Francia and Rosalind, they all have the same head. So I feel like that could age well.
So boom, we open up episode 2, First Husband. The easiest way I could say this is literally she trades her virginity for a ride to Hollywood. So they get married on the day of Valentine's Day in 1953. Dang, did I say that she was a famous actor in the 50s? I mean, she doesn't really get her flowers until the 80s for real, I'm not gonna lie. But like this, she's a baby. She's a baby getting married. Instead of going to school, she decides to hang out at the Formosa Cafe every day because she knows that that's where like famous people hang out. But she's ordering like a soda or like a lemonade at the bar every day. And the owner or like whoever works there is like, I see your game. What you're not finna do is just sit here and buy one drink every day and do nothing. So what you're gonna do is work. Here, you got a job. Maybe like 2 weeks into her job, Harry Cameron, I believe, is at this point is a producer at Sunset. I don't really know his job, but I just know that he's working at Sunset Studios. He's higher up at Sunset Studios. He realizes, oh my god, she's beautiful. Like, we have a role for you. We have a job for you. She's getting not hella jobs, but she has a few roles in some small movies during 1954. She's like 16 at this point. Very small roles. It's like Girl in the Cafe, The Neighbor. Like, it's not anything huge. She wants this role, Caroline, in this movie Love Isn't All. But because I didn't mention this, Evelyn is a Cuban woman. That would have been something important to mention in the first episode. Again, this is the 50s, so they don't like anybody that's white, so they're not going to give her the role. So she's like, okay, bet. What I'm finna do is I'm finna go to the top of the top, which his name is Ari Sullivan. She drops her purse in front of him, and you know, she's known for her big boobs. Evelyn doesn't have, like, her body, she's not curvy, she doesn't have ass. Like, what her thing is her boobs. So she uses that to her advantage. She like leans in front of him. You know, men are dogs, so he's infatuated by that. Again, she pretends to be lost in the building, knocks on his office door. Now, this man is a creep. Again, most of the men in this book are weird and predators and not great people. He decides that in order to give her a role, he needs to give her oral. She's 17 at the time. Again, he's 48, and he gives her head on his desk, and she pretends to like it. And the thing about Evelyn is, like, most of the time she's not enjoying what she's doing, but she's like, I'm happy because I'm about to get what I want. Evelyn goes into Harry's office, and she shows the article that Love Isn't All Tanks, the white woman that they had in the movie. So she's like, you see, I would have ate that, but y'all didn't believe in me. So she's like, what I want now is Joe and Little Woman. So they're like, okay. And mind you, you know, she got her coochie ate by Ari. So Ari, again, the head at Sunset Studios, is like, okay, you can have it now. She basically has a whitewashing makeover. They They dye her hair blonde. They make her lose like 6 pounds. They change her name from Evelyn Diaz to Evelyn Hugo. Well, she decides that that's what she wants her name to be, because she wants her name to be as close as to her original name that her mother gave her, which was Evelyn Herrera. They also make her change like all the answers about her life story. Like, they're like, no, you're not from the ghetto, you're not from Hell's Kitchen, your dad actually had this really good job, he would take you, it's not the Hamptons, but like he would take you to the Hamptons, and your mom died in a car crash, and like you had a dog growing up, and you don't have this sad story. They're like, you need to go on a few dates with some famous people. Harry's like, is that going to be a problem? Because, you know, she's married to Ernie at this point. Again, Miss Evelyn will do anything it takes to get a job, and she's like, no, that's not a problem. So she goes home. She's like, I'm leaving you. And that's really just that. Ernie's like, okay, if that's really what you want, I guess. Like, he don't really put up a fight. He cries for a couple hours, but he's like, all right, cool. And he never talked to her ever again.
So I chose Gavin. He's from Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like he looks
and College Girls.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, I was thinking about him too.
Tony. You know, I was thinking Tony also, but I was like,
I feel like Tony would eat.
I feel like he eat too. He has that look.
He would.
That like
pretty Anthony Ramos.
I knew it.
I knew it, Savannah.
I'm sorry,
so we got Zola. Okay, so I only was gonna do Zola at first, but then I was like, wait, because I remember Michael too, and they both have that look.
We left off episode 2 with Evelyn going on dates. So yeah, Evelyn's not really feeling the other dudes, but Harry puts her on a date with Don Adler, and she is sprung down heads over heels. Like, he's the hottest actor in Hollywood right now. Nepo baby down. Like, both of his parents were big actors in the 30s. So yeah, he's just trying to make his way as a Nepo baby, and he's doing a great job right now. Again, he's 26. So, and little Ev is 19 right now. Get into that, yeah. So now that Evelyn is whitewashed girly down, they want her to be starring in movies now. So she's in her first film called Father and Daughter, and it's the first time her name is like on the big screen, says starring Evelyn Hugo, and it's the only time her name is ever under someone else. Like, that's how much Miss Mamas was Queenie. Like, Donna's like, no babes, like, I want to see you outside of a Harry setup. Like, I really want to do this shit for real. He's like, I have this date with this other like famous actress at the time, but he's like, I can cancel with her and replace her with you. And Evelyn's like geeked over this. On one end, it's like, period, like, I'm that girl, but on the other end, it's like, okay, so you think women are disposable. He ends up ditching the other girl and replacing her with Ev, and they are all in the papers for the next couple months. They're seen together, you know, at parties, at events, playing tennis together, rich people shit. It's before Don's movie premiere, and he pulls out this ring at the table, and Evelyn's like, oh my god. Mind you, she's 19, so of course she's gonna be excited as fuck. He's basically like, don't get your panties in a bunch, I'm not proposing. And she's like, oh. He's like, well, at least not yet. I just need to know if you're gonna say yes. Because he plans on asking her at the premiere on the red carpet, and it's like, oh, you're all for show, you don't actually like her. And she's like, of course I'm gonna say yes, because again, she's a baby and sprung, and he's been nothing but sweet in praising her. So yeah, they go on the red carpet, and he asks her in front of the paps. Now they're like for real in the media, because now they're the Adlers. They get married in March of 1957. Then it's like, it's 2 months until Dawn starts beating on me. And now you're like, not only was she getting beat on by her father, now she's getting beat on by her second husband. Like, can she catch a break? He just had this Western movie, and the papers are basically talking about how he looks a fool. Like, nobody's taking him seriously with a gun in his hand. They're basically like, he didn't eat. He didn't eat in his Western movie. And now his ass is like miserable. He's one of those people that if he's not succeeding in life, now everybody else's life has to be miserable and he can't be a good husband or a good partner anymore. He's being a brat and he orders her around and is like, can you get me breakfast? Their maid, like that they usually use, she's not there, so she's like, what do you want, coffee and eggs? And he throws this entire tantrum and he's like, if you're not going to be the wife that cooks my food, you can at least know how I like it. And it's like, okay, on one end, I understand. They've been together. That's your husband. You don't know how he likes his breakfast. Like, they're filming a movie together. As they're driving to the set, he's like, so the people have been talking. And she's like, who? And he's like, the people. They're saying that they think you have the pants in the relationship because you're still going by Evelyn Hugo and not Evelyn Adler. And we're supposed to be the Adlers. Evelyn's like first movie is taking off. Like, she's doing a great job. People want to see her in more stuff. Because he's failing with his little Western movie, he's like, after this film that we finish, you need to have a baby. She's like, no, absolutely not. And he slaps her across the face. Whatever, he leaves and her stylist comes in and she has to lie and is like, oh yeah, I fell and I hit my jaw, whoop de whoop whoop. Mind you, we all know what's going on here, but this is the 50s and women can't stick up for themselves. So they get on set and he's like, baby, I'm so sorry. Like, I should have never hit you. It will never happen again. And mind you, her dad never apologized for hitting her. So this is like the first time somebody has ever apologized. So she's like, okay, maybe things are okay. Okay, yeah, I forgive you. Like, it's fine. For the next couple months, he hits her and keeps hitting her, and then that just becomes a thing. He hits her for everything he doesn't like, and that just becomes the routine. She's starting to have to like pancake her makeup on, wear long sleeves, that type of thing. So she's starting to film for Little Women, and this is the first time that she meets Celia St. James. At this time, Evelyn is 21 and Celia is 19 going on 20. And Celia was in like this war movie and she's like the talk of the town right now. Like, she's the best thing since sliced bread type of thing. So Evelyn is threatened. Ruby is playing someone else. They're both like in their 20s and they're like basically this teenager is finna come and act us under the table. Like, she's about to spaz. And we don't want that to happen. Celia asks Evelyn if they can go out for milkshakes, and she's trying to take her to like, I don't know what it was at the time, but imagine it's like the Earth Cafe, the Erewhon of this time. Celia's trying to take Evelyn there, and Evelyn is known right now. Like, she's doing a great job. She's married to the Nepo baby of Hollywood. So Evelyn's like, oh, you're trying to use me. So she takes her to basically like a Baskin Robbins and is like, what you're not finna do is use my game against me. Celia's like, no, I wasn't trying to do that, like blah blah blah. And she's like, no, I peep game, like good game knows good game. They end up leaving that interaction because Celia's like, why don't we just be friends? Like, I'm not trying to be in competition with you. Because Celia's like, she's like, okay, I've seen you in One More Day, but just, you're good, but I'm better. Like, I'm the better actress. I know I'm gonna outshine you. So there's a point in time where Evelyn's getting dressed and their maid comes in while she's getting dressed and she's like, yo, get out. Evelyn has like bruises all over and she doesn't want to get exposed. She doesn't want her husband to get exposed for being a woman beater. The maid comes back in and she's like, oh, sorry. And like Evelyn spazzes on her. The maid goes because she's like mad at Evelyn for yelling at her. She goes to the press and snitches on Evelyn. Instead of just being like, oh, I saw this woman getting beat up, like, or not I saw this woman get beat up, like I saw her have bruises and shit. She goes to the press and is like, Evelyn refuses to give Dawn a baby. And it's like, oh, okay, like out of all things that you could have exposed, like that's the thing that you decided. Dawn comes crashing in while Celia and Harry are talking. he wants Celia out, but Evelyn's like, no, this is my friend, like, she can stay. And he's like, so what are we gonna do about this? Like, we can't have it in the paper that you don't want to give me a baby. So Celia's like, what if you guys do a miscarriage? So they decide to go to the press and say that Evelyn had a miscarriage. The paper eats it up. They're like, oh, send your support to the Adlers right now because they need it. Mind you, Dawn's episode is a hefty one. So Celia and Evelyn have been besties for some time now. They are at Evelyn's house and, you know, they're just having a girls' night, good time. Evelyn ends up getting wine on Celia's white shirt. So she's like, oh, okay, girl, like, it's okay. Like, if you can fit this shirt, you can have it. Like, I got you. You know, girls just being girls, they change in front of each other. This is when things start getting a little fruity. You know, really observing her body, looking at the difference between her body and Celia's, but not in a way where it's like, oh, I'm comparing. It's more like, I'm a little interested. At least that's what it's giving at the moment. Dawn comes in and is like, oh, what's going on here? And Ev is like, oh, nothing. And that scene is cut. Then they go to the premiere for Little Woman, and Dawn is, of course, going with Evelyn, and Celia is going with this man, Robert. And Celia's not feeling it. She's like, do I have to do this? Like, I don't even want to do this. Ev is, like, super excited for Celia. She's like, you know, Dawn's, like, trying to, like, gas up his women. He's like, you know, you're about to get a lot of awards for this. And Evelyn's kind of like, you know, Celia's gonna be nominated too. Like, she's doing such a good job. And Dawn's like, I'm really not trying to hear about that. Like, wrap it up with talking about her. So Evelyn is the opening scene of the movie, but by the time Celia comes on, like, she already knows that she was blown out of the water. Like, Celia's getting that freaking Oscar. And it's just kind of like the first time you ever see Evelyn be happy for someone else besides herself. And this is kind of like the after party of the premiere of the movie. Ruby is trying to pull Evelyn to the side, being like, what the fuck? Like, we already know she's about to win. What are we gonna do about it? At this point, Evelyn's kind of like, what can we do? Like, she's gorgeous, she's talented. There's nothing that we can do. And Ruby's kind of like, what's going on? Like, this is not the Evelyn I know. And so Ruby's like, you know, there's some rumors going around. I didn't want to believe it, but... And Evelyn's like, what are you talking about? And she's like, Celia's a lesbian. And so Evelyn's whole world literally drops. Like, it stops, it drops, she just doesn't know what to do with this. I mean, she knows what to do with this information. She's like, I have to go find Celia. And then Ruby, like, tries to throw in her face, like, get a better hold of your husband because he's in the room with another girl. Celia comes to her. Evelyn is flat out like, girl, are you gay? And Celia's like, are you gonna stop being friends with me? Like, whoop-de-whoop-whoop. And she's like, are you gay? And she's like, you know, it was only with one girl. Like, it was just my best friend. There's nothing wrong with me. And Evelyn really not trying to hear none of that. Like, she just wants to know if Girly likes the girls. And so Celia's not really giving any answers. Yeah, Celia's not really giving any answers. And so Evelyn takes matters into her own hands and kisses her. And so when I was reading the book, I'm like, OMG. I didn't know this was giving gay. Like, I didn't know we was finna, like, dabble into LGBT. Like, and Celia's like, we can't stay here. So Celia leaves, and Evelyn goes upstairs and opens up every single door. Finally finds Dawn with the girl. Dawn's, like, fixing up his pants, and the girl's getting dressed. And he's like, Evelyn, it's not what it looks like. So she just leaves. Like, she could care less. She goes to Harry and is like, can you just take me home? Evelyn decides to stay at Celia's for a week. instead of going home to Dawn. And at this point, it's very clear that Celia and Evelyn just decide that they're going to be together. It's not really spoken, but they just be together from the first kiss. Very gay, if you ask me. And so because Evelyn doesn't go home and Dawn knows he fucked up, he decides to file divorce papers instead of Evelyn being able to do it to him. Files a divorce for abandonment. And then because he's the freaking nepo baby of Hollywood, he gets her blackballed. And now Ari's like gonna drop him or drop her from Sunset Studios. Yeah, honestly, Evelyn's not really worried about this at this point. Like, she's just happily in her first little gay relationship, so she's just living her best life. And I would end that episode with Celia and Evelyn having sex for the first time.
Now, walk with me on the first one. I don't know if y'all saw Maid. There's just something about their energy that they can play a dark-spirited man. Sorry.
Walk with me. I'm there. If you people, I had to put them all in suits so you see what they would look like back in the day. Down here, we have Miles Teller and Oliver Jackson Cohen. So
John Adler, I chose Finn.
Oh, wow.
He does have that look.
He does.
Like American Horror Story.
Demonic.
Like, right?
Holland could eat. I don't know if she could eat as a teen still.
Right.
I was low-key, I was thinking about what's her name from Riverdale.
Who?
Madeline. I was thinking about her too. Ooh.
Sophia Lillis.
Sophia.
Yeah.
I really think Sophia going into Jessica, going into Julianne would eat. Oh,
come on,
yeah.
Yep, Sadie, yep. I love that.
And Julianne Moore, yes.
Yes.
We're there together.
She's not invited to the Academy Awards, and her and Celia can't go together. Celia ends up winning Best Supporting Actress. Evelyn's at home. She kisses the TV, and she ends up chipping her tooth. So because Evelyn is blackballed in Hollywood right now, she decides that she needs to go to Paris. And when she gets to Paris, she meets this French director, Max Gerard. Absolutely adores her, in love with her from the moment he sees her, and is like, you have to be in this film. Again, Miss Evelyn, who is ready to do whatever it takes to get the job, she's like, yeah, of course, I'll be topless on camera. But she decides when she's actually filming the video, she's like, what if we do it as a little tease? Like, what if we don't show my boobs on camera, but it's like as soon as I come out of the water, it goes to black. She ends up 6 months later being an international sensation. People love her. They're obsessed, of course, because sex sells. Everybody's obsessed with her again. Mick Riva, who is a popular singer at the time, goes to the paper and is like, left his last wife, and he's like, but you know who I'm obsessed with right now is Evelyn Hugo. Like, I watched her in the French movie like 3 times. I think I want to marry her. And then cut to like a little sidebar. In the papers, it says that Dawn and Ruby got engaged, and it's just like, Ruby girl, like. So by this time, this is 1961. Evelyn gets an invitation to come to Mick Riva's concert. She, of course, invites Celia and Harry to come with her, her 2 besties. Well, now her girlfriend. They're at the show. Evelyn is having so much of a good time that she forgets where she's at and ends up holding Celia's hand in public. And this couple behind them, who can't fucking mind their business, ends up looking. And so she's like, fuck, like this is obviously going to end up in the paper. And so she ends up screaming like extra loud and Mick Riva ends up seeing her front row and like, oh my god, is it the girl of my dreams in the crowd? Whoop de whoop whoop. And it ends up being in the paper again that Evelyn and Celia, they're like, are they gay? Because again, this is the 60s. So also Celia's car has been seen outside of Evelyn's home for the whole night, for multiple times at a night, and this was the house that she used to share with Don. So they're like, starting to speculate. Evelyn's like, I think I'm going to go on a date with Mick Riva. And Celia's like, to hell you are. Like, what the fuck? No, you're not going on a date with Mick Riva. She's like, babe, like, they're onto us. Like, what do you want me to do? Like, we can't get caught. You just got an you just got an Oscar. Like, you just won an Academy Award. You want to lose your job over me? And at this point, Evelyn's like, you know, she hasn't gotten her flowers, and so she's like, I'm not ready to risk this life yet. So we're gonna have to make it work. And Celia's like, I'll lose it all. Like, I'm ready to lose it all right now. But the thing that's different between Evelyn and Celia is Celia grew up with money and she just got scouted. Like, you know, Evelyn again came from the ghetto and had to work her way here. So she's not for the bullshit. She's not about to risk this for no love. As much as she loves Celia down, that's what she's not gonna do. So she's like, trust me, I have a plan, it's gonna work. So Celia's like, okay, I trust you. Evelyn and Mick end up going to Vegas, and she plays the long, not very long, but the long, short game of, you know, getting drunk in Vegas and doing poker and playing with the idea of maybe getting married. And they end up getting so drunk that he's like, I have to marry you. Like, I can't live without you. And she's like, OMG, like, we can't get married. And she's like, wait, maybe we can. And so they get married in Vegas. They go back to the hotel. She makes sure that she sucks in bed so that he don't want to be with her. She wakes up in the morning and he like tries to have sex with her again because, you know, they're married and he's a boy. And she's like, no, like, we just woke up, like, morning breath, like, whoop-de-whoop. And he's like, I don't care. And she's like, fine, if you have to. And so now he's like, ew, like, I thought it was going to be way different with you. Like, this is not what I thought it was going to be. And he's like, you know, babe, like, I don't think this is going to work. We should get an annulment. I'll have my people reach out to you. And Evelyn, like, brings on the tears for him, so he thinks that it's his idea. And she's just like, what do you mean? Like, you're gonna break up with me? Like, and she throws the ring, and they have this whole theatrics. Their marriage only lasts 8 days. So, yeah, everything's fine and dandy because she's in the paper that she got married, and now she got a divorce 8 days later, or an annulment. And so they're not really focused on her and Celia no more. Everything's fine until Evelyn finds out that she's pregnant. Celia is like, what the actual fuck? She was like, you slept with him? And she was like, yeah, I thought that was implied. And she was like, fuck no, it wasn't implied. They find out they're on completely different, or they had completely different ideas of what was going on. Evelyn's kind of trying to be like, I did this for us, like, I did this so that we could be together. And Celia's not really trying to hear that. She's like, no, you did this for yourself. Like, all you care about is the fame. Like, we're not on the same page. You're not who I thought you were. Evelyn's like, I fixed it. Like, I fixed it so that we could be together. And she's like, no, you didn't, because you're pregnant. Like, and she's like, that can easily be fixed too. Celia, throughout the book, you realize that she is not great either. Like, literally none of the people that she's with are really great human beings, to be honest. Celia ends up telling her that she doesn't want to be with her anymore because she's a whore who lets men sleep with her for fame. On one end, it's like, did she lie? No. But on the other end, it's like, that's your lover, and that's not something you say to your partner. Like, they break up, and at this point they had been together for 3 years. Like, and Celia was just out like that. Like, no, not doing it, babes. Evelyn breaks down because at this point not only is she blackballed in LA, but she also just lost the love of her life. Harry and Evelyn decide that they are going to make their own movie together. Harry has left Sunset Studios because his ride or die is with Evelyn, and he's decided that he's gonna produce movies like on his own. So Evelyn's in this movie with this man Rex North. He's not like Don Adler status, but he's pretty up there with Evelyn right now. Again, like, her French movie is doing really well, but she needs to get her name back in America, and she doesn't want the movie to flop for her or for Harry, because she's like, if his first movie flops, then nobody's gonna want to reach out to him. So she decides she's gonna orchestrate a marriage with Rex North. And that's the end of that episode.
Oh,
Not really aware his age.
I see Diego.
Diego.
Yeah.
Mick.
Wow. You see,
You saw what?
You just ate so bad.
I didn't picture Mick as a white man. I feel like we need to see smooth, kind of not shit Charles.
But I chose Damiano David. He's from Måneskin.
Oh.
That's it.
Rex is not ready to settle down. Like, he's very much player, sleeping around, can't tie me down type of dude. And so they make this pact that he can sleep with whoever he wants, just not with Evelyn, as long as he doesn't get caught, because a cheating scandal is huge and Evelyn does not want that. Like, she doesn't want to be in the papers for any type of scandal. They get married November 1962, 2 weeks before the movie premieres. Celia marries a quarterback named John Braverman. That's just a little sidebar because that becomes important later. The movie does amazing in box office. They do numbers. Evelyn is 25 at this point. They're going to the Academy Award for their movie. They don't win an Oscar. When they come home that night, Rex is super drunk, and Evelyn goes to her room and is like crying because she missed Celia. And Celia wasn't at the awards this year. Rex comes in and like tries to cheer her up and then tries to sleep with her. And he's like, you know, just one time, like, you know, I never get to sleep with my wife. Evelyn's like, no, that's not what's in the program. And eventually she's like, Rex, no, and go to your room, we're not doing this. And so he leaves and tells her goodnight. That's the last of that. He never tries to sleep with her ever again. Harry calls the next day and is like, Paramount called me and they want to do a 3-movie deal with me, you, and Rex. We get to choose whatever movies we make. They just want 3 movies from us 3. So her and Rex end up staying together for the next 2.5 years. One day Rex comes home and he's like, I've fallen in love. Evelyn's like, oh, like, good, like, finally. And she's like, okay, we can figure it out, like, our plan to break up after this movie. And he's like, well, the thing is, Joy's actually pregnant, and I told her that we would be married by the time the baby's here. And so Evelyn's like, oh, of course, like, let's figure this out. Harry comes into the room and she's like, okay, not the smartest idea, but we're just gonna say we were having an affair. I'm having one with Harry and you're having one with Joy. Evelyn calls Ruby and is like, Ruby, can you tip off some photographers? And Ruby's like, what are you up to? And she's like, don't worry about it, like, just can you do this job for me? And Ruby, in the midst of the conversation, she's like, you could have warned me about Don. And she was like, you knew what was going on behind my back, like, and she's like, not the cheating, the beating. And yeah, she just finds out that Don is still an abuser. They decide to have an affair, scandal, to end the marriage. Harry and Evelyn stage this this scene of them like in a car like making out, and everyone thinks that they got their tea basically. And the paps come take pictures, and it's in the news that they all have an affair. And you know, the movie takes off, people still see the movie, no one's like, oh, their chemistry didn't fade out. Like, it's a scandal, so Hollywood loves a scandal. And that's how episode 5 ends.
I think Austin Butler would eat as Rex.
You get it.
Mike face, Mike, you know, you can't tell me he doesn't look like Rex. Come on now.
He is Rex. Like, I don't know. Walk with me.
Lucas still, I'm fucking crying.
Mike has this in the bag. I want him casted.
I forgot to add, like in the beginning, we find out during Dawn's period chapter that Harry is gay. He ends up telling Evelyn that he's seeing John Braverman, Celia's husband. Evelyn's like super excited. She's like, oh, it's a fake marriage. Like, they're not really together. They're at the Academy Awards. Evelyn is nominated for Carolina Sunset. Harry's like, if you win tonight, I dare you to go talk to Celia. So Evelyn goes to the bathroom, and Celia ends up coming in. They reconcile and they catch up, and they end up making out. Yeah, from then on, they're together again. August 1967 is when Harry and Evelyn decide to get married. Throughout this chapter, Harry and Evelyn are just happily married because that's her best friend. She doesn't have to hide. She doesn't have to do anything. And because Evelyn is seeing Celia and Harry is seeing John, they get to just flip-flop between each other's houses, go on double dates, and now they're just known as these double dater couples, and no one's really suspecting that they are just two gay couples and everybody's each other's beard. On Evelyn's 36th birthday, though, Harry and her decide that they want a baby. Celia's like, where do I fit into this? Where does John fit into this? And she's like, it's wherever you want to fit. And Celia's like, is it bad that I never really cared about having children? And Evelyn's like, no. And she's like, is it bad that I can't give you a child? And she's like, no, like, I just really want a baby. And so she's like, okay, it's fine. Like, you can have a baby with Harry. So Connor ends up being born in May of 1975. And it's really interesting that Celia agreed to this, but then ends up taking a movie to film at the same time, miraculously, while Connor's born. So it's like, it's almost like she didn't want to be there during the birth and like while the first couple months of the baby's life. So while Celia's away, Harry and Evelyn are a normal, like, heterosexual couple. Like, they're just raising a baby together. So they've gotten into the routine because John is with Celia wherever she's filming, and they're just being mommy and daddy. So by the time it's been months in, Celia comes back home. You know, Harry comes over and comes in, tries to cook breakfast for Evelyn like he normally does. And Celia's like, no, I got it. And she ends up cooking breakfast, and it's like nasty, but her and Harry don't really say anything because she's like, oh, like, she's basically marking her territory, so they just let her feel like she has a space in the dynamic. Max is doing this, Max, again, if you remember the French director, he's doing this movie called 3 a.m. Celia actually pitches it to Evelyn, and she's like, you know, be the bombshell that you are. Just because you're a mom, like, you don't have to start taking mom roles and all this. Evelyn's like, I'm gonna take the role, but then Max is like, yeah, but your co-star is Don Adler. So Don and Evelyn end up meeting up at a diner, and he like apologizes for everything that he's done. He's like, I've been going to therapy, whatever he says, like, I've stopped drinking, I'm not gonna do that to anybody else, like, whoop-de-whoop-whoop. And she's like, it doesn't really change what you did to me and Ruby, but I'm really happy that you got help and you're not gonna harm any other woman in the future. This doesn't really change our dynamic. We're not friends, but we're cordial. So they're filming, and Max is like, okay, there's something missing from the movie. I think we need a sex scene. Now, if you remember, this is in the 70s, so this is still like, Instead of Evelyn asking Celia first if she's okay with her being on film, like having quote-unquote sex with Don or a man in general, she just does it. And then comes home and she doesn't say anything. She doesn't bring it up to her. So she just lets time go by. Before the movie comes out, she's like, I have to let her know because it's going to be in the film. It's already filmed. She's like, how would you feel if I did a sex scene with Don? And Celia's like, well, you've actually had sex with him. So not only is it fake sex, but it's sex with somebody that you already had sex with and you were in love with him. At first Celia's like, yeah, okay, I'm okay with it. And then she's like, no, I'm not okay with it. Like, I'll do anything. Like, I'll agree to any other project that you want to do in the future. I just can't get down with you doing this fake sex scene with Don. And Evelyn's like, well, I already did it. And this causes the second breakup. Celia's like, the same old Evelyn, like, you only care about yourself, you only care about fame, like, I'll never be good enough for you, like, you're not ready to give up fame, I'm done this time, like, I don't want anything to do with you. And at this point, Celia's 37 and Evelyn is 38, and they break up and they don't talk for years after this. The craziest part is Dawn actually wins an Oscar for this movie, and Evelyn doesn't even get nominated because, again, it's the 70s. We live in a society of patriarchy and misogyny, and they don't like that a woman was having sex. Like, of course, Dawn, period, yay, you get your Oscar for having sex with a woman on camera, but Evelyn, you're a whore for doing it. So yeah, they see each other at the funeral, but they don't talk. And this actually causes Harry to become a depressed alcoholic. Like, he just spirals. Like, he doesn't get out of bed and all he does is drink. Evelyn's like, okay, maybe I can't make him put down the bottle, but I can make him inspired again. She reads through a hella scripts and then finds this script of this movie called All For Us, and Harry produces it, Max directs it, and Evelyn stars in it. And this is when Evelyn finally wins her first Oscar by the 80s, and Max also gets an Oscar for Best Director, and Harry gets for Best Picture. At this point, like, it's been years since Harry and Evelyn were together. Like, it's been a decade and some change, I believe. So anyways, Max is like, I know you're not happy in your relationship. I've been obsessed with you since I've seen you. Please let me marry you. And Evelyn's like, we don't even know each other. And he's like, babe, like, we've known each other since the 60s, since you did my French film. Like, come on now, like, let me love on you, basically. And this is the first time Evelyn, she ends up sleeping with him. And this is the first time she doesn't think of Celia when she's with anyone else. At this time, she's in her mid-40s.
Oh, yeah.
For Harry Cameron, I chose David Cornsweet. He was in Hollywood.
He's very, like, old Hollywood look, too. Whoa!
Yeah. And then I feel like Patrick would really eat as old Harry. Like, this is who I pictured.
These are two different Harrys. I just have the younger one and older one.
Okay.
Yeah, all of them can act. I stand. That's all I got for Harry. Next.
Max wants to get married in, like, LA or somewhere grand. I don't know if it's LA, but he's like Spain or somewhere big. And Evelyn's like, I just want to get married in Joshua Tree with me, you, Harry, and your brother. And Max is like, I didn't picture life like this with you. Like, I actually thought it was going to be lavish. Like, I don't really like the desert. Can we go back home? And Evelyn's kind of like, we just got here. She's also about to be like 50 years old. Like, she just wants to chill. Like, she's been in Hollywood since she was 16 years old. Like, she just wants to relax and have a breakaway from fame. And Max is like, no, I still love that life and I want to be in that life with you. They're at the airport going back to LA. He's like, I can't believe, like, I'm with Evelyn Hugo type of thing. And she's like, you can just call me Evelyn. He's like, yeah, but you're the Evelyn Hugo. They see themselves in a magazine and he's like, oh, like, I need to get myself right for you. But what he really means is like, oh, I need to get skinny and get fit so I look good next to you. Not really like, oh, I want to look good for Evelyn, but I want to look good in the papers. And he's not really in love with Evelyn. He's in love with Evelyn Hugo. And when they're on the plane, he's like, do you think everyone's gonna leave here saying they were on a plane with Evelyn Hugo? So months into their marriage, she's like, okay, he literally just wanted a trophy wife. Celia ends up actually winning another award. Like, she just keeps winning Oscars. Kind of sub shout outs Evelyn. She's like, and whoever's watching tonight, don't chip your tooth when kissing the screen. And so that's when she's like, oh, so Celia, like, is the think about me. So she ends up sending letters, and they end up sending letters back and forth for a little while. She's like, is Max like Rex or Harry? Evelyn's like, unfortunately, no, like, this is real, like, I really loved him. So Celia's like, I'm not really comfortable with meeting up with you. And she's like, I loved him, but I'm not in love with him anymore. Like, please, let's just get dinner in LA. On her way out to meeting with her, Evelyn is gonna bring all the letters that she had been already like writing to Celia but never sent them. She has a box of them, but then she's like, I'm gonna keep them at home. But on her way out, she's like, actually, I'm gonna bring them. She goes upstairs and sees that Max actually found the box. He's like, what the fuck? Like, you've been cheating on me this whole time? And he's like, I'm down for cheating, but like, just don't get caught. And so that's when she realizes, oh, he's been sleeping with other women this whole time in our marriage. And she's like, I actually haven't been sleeping with anybody. I'm not cheating on you. And he's like, yeah, but you're a lesbian. He actually uses the word dyke, but she's like, don't use that word. And I'm actually not a lesbian, like, because her whole point in explaining to Monique, like, I'm not a lesbian, I'm bisexual, please make that clear. Max ends up threatening to get her blackballed again for the second time, but not only get blackballed, but out her for being gay. And she's like, Max, do what you gotta do, no matter what, I'm leaving you and I'm going to get my wife. They meet up for dinner, and they're like, wow, it's been so many years, like, I can't believe we made all these years, like, we let all these years pass. Celia's like, are you ready to like really be with me? And Evelyn's like, yes, I really am. Like, I am ready to give up everything for you at this point. Like, Celia ends up revealing that she's actually dying, and she only has a couple years left because she has cancer in her throat. It's like connected to her throat and her lungs, and she only has a couple years to live. So Evelyn's like, okay, I want to be with you in your last years. And Celia's like, are you okay with losing me again? Evelyn's like, no, I don't think I can handle that, but I'm gonna do all I can because we wasted all these years of not being together. Like, they didn't talk for years. Celia's like, okay, we're gonna make a rumor that you are seeing this congressman. He is 29, mind you, they're in their mid-50s by now. And she's like, oh my god, he's so young. And Celia's like, yeah, that's gonna take away from whatever Max says, because clearly Max is a bitch and he's gonna go out to the press and out her. She ends up seeing with the congressman. They get divorced in 1988. Max goes to the papers and is like, she's a cheater, she owes me because she got her Oscar because of me, she's a lesbian, and everybody's like, you're just bitter and mad. So Evelyn and Celia are wanting to go to Spain and spend Celia's last years in Spain, but Harry's like, we can't all be together again. I'm not down to go to Spain. I want to be in LA. And it turns out it's because he met somebody and he's fallen in love. Evelyn's on her way to the airport. I don't know where to, but she's like, make a quick stop to the driver, and they go by Harry's house, and she finds Harry literally slumped over the driver's seat with another man in the passenger seat, clearly bottle in his hand, like he was drunk driving, accident. Man in the passenger seat is dead. Harry is not dead yet, but on his way there. They don't want him in the papers that he was drunk driving. So Evelyn takes matters into her own hands, puts the guy who was dead in the passenger seat in the driver's seat, and they take Harry to the hospital. Harry ends up dying of an aneurysm, and she says goodbye to Harry in the hospital. It is February 1989 by the time Harry dies. Connor, the baby, is now 14 years old, and she's absolutely spazzing because her dad is dead. And she's an attentive mom, but she's not there because she's a famous actress. So Connor's acting out. She's doing drugs. She's skipping school. She's in the club. And she gets caught having a threesome with two of her classmates. Again, 14 years old. So Evelyn, now that Harry's not in the picture, Evelyn's like, yeah, we're taking her out of the States. Like, there's no way she can live here anymore. Her, Celia, and Connor all moved to Spain together.
I'm right there. You and I are toe to toe.
We're here because
We're here. Okay?
Max Gerard.
Okay.
Okay. Max Gerard, Kyra.
Yeah.
Same picture and everything.
See each other.
Yep. My only thing is that he's French. So there we go.
This is Celia's brother, and they decide to get married in 1990 so that Celia and Evelyn can be together. He moves out to Spain with them. Robert becomes this amazing stepdad to Connor, and they're there for the rest of like Celia's living lives. One night Evelyn is like, I want to marry you. Again, this is now the 90s. Still can't get legally married, so they get their hair ties out of their hair together and wrap them around each other's fingers, and Evelyn asks Celia if she wants to get married, and of course Celia says yes, and now they're married. Unfortunately, 6 years later, Celia dies of respiratory failure in July 2000. The marriage with Robert ends up lasting for the next 11 years until he dies at 81. It's a friendly marriage. They just raise Connor together. Evelyn ends up donating Celia's money to LGBTQ organizations and lung disease research. Connor becomes a teacher. Once Robert dies, she hires Grace, who you meet in the beginning of the book. That's who is kind of helping out while Monique is interviewing Evelyn. At 39, though, Connor is diagnosed with breast cancer, and for the next 18 months, Evelyn is taking care of her daughter. That's like her last love. Nobody else is alive, and Connor dies at 41. At this point, Monique is like, you know, you're so brave for telling your story. Like, you've been through so much. Like, I commend you for being so strong. Like this, that, and the third. And Evelyn is like, stop telling me all that. This is the reason why throughout this entire series, I'm saying it's a series. I don't want it to be a movie. Throughout this entire series, Evelyn's kind of being like, you're not gonna like me by the end of this, like, because this all happens in a week. She tells her whole life story in a week. She's like, you're not gonna like me by the end of this. Trust and believe. I'm not a good person. Before this, she's like, make sure people know in the story that I would do everything that I did, like everything that I'm telling you, I would do it again for my family. I have no regrets. I would do it all again. She hands over Monique this letter covered in blood, and she's like, the man Harry fell in love with was a black man, and his name was James Grant, and he died this year. That's when you're like, what the fuck? Like, Evelyn, what the fuck? She did all this because she was saving Harry. Yeah. And Monique this whole time has been thinking that, like, my dad was never the one, like, never the type to drunk drive. Like, I don't understand, but it's just like, that's just the information that she knows. And now she found out that her dad's death was basically set up. Like, yeah, he was in the car with Harry, but he didn't die because he was behind the wheel. It was Harry. It was honestly one of the most shocking things, like, I had, like, ever, like, in a story. Like, I just wasn't expecting it. Like, it was such a good flow of story. I didn't really add Monique's plot line in this series, but basically the conflict with Monique's storyline is that, you know, she's supposed to be getting this cover piece of Evelyn because she hasn't been out in the public, but Evelyn's like, I'm not being in no cover, and she's like, okay, but I can't lose my job because of this. She basically gets what she wants. She's like, you're gonna get this, give me this cover for Vivint so that I can write this book for you. And she tells Frankie, she's like, in order for me to get this cover for you, you need to make me like one of the head writers. Okay, give me an office, give me a raise. The book ends with Evelyn giving the cover, and she's like basically telling her, like, tell everybody Evelyn's ready to say goodbye. Everybody who I love is dead. I'm telling you my story. I'm giving you my story. And the reason why I'm giving you my story is because I had a part in, you know, your father. I didn't have a part in your father's death, but I had a part in your father's death. And it's honestly kind of insane, like the way that she went about that. Like, I don't know, but that's the reason why Evelyn wanted Monique herself for this, so that's the only way that she felt like she could reach out to her. That's how the story ends, with Evelyn taking her life and is ready to go. Yeah, Monique now has this $1 million selling story.
So we have Richard, Michael, and Philip. I really want Michael to be cast because he's also a redhead, but not like aggressively so.
Robert Jameson. I couldn't think about anybody. John, or Aiden from Sex and the City.
Wow.
I was like, who is a redhead who is a really good actor?
Like, he could play old, he could play younger.
He could play, yeah. Thank y'all for being a part of my video.
You're welcome.
She's at
Period.
Okay.
Exactly.
That's how I would break up this book into 8 episodes, give us a great Netflix series. It's written, but I literally have it breaking up for you. Netflix. Thank you to my best friends Savannah and Sion for being a part of this video and helping me cast this series. Phenomenal writing. This was such a good book. I mean, clearly I read it twice. I'm making a whole video on it. I've been spending my entire day filming this video. I've had to take breaks multiple times to run errands, to charge my fucking battery twice. And we're finally done. If you enjoyed this video, thank you for watching. Honestly, if you didn't enjoy this video, thank you for watching. And if you made it to the end, I love you so much. This video took so much prepping. Yeah, it was a lot, but I'm happy. I hope this video does well. I feel like it's a pretty good entrance into booktube. I hope the collective loves it, and yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.